Shanti Shanti.
So, it is initially with the effortful vichara that these changes are brought about. But finally, the truth shines effortlessly in that intelligence. Dirgha samsara rogasya vicharo hi mahaushadham. That this, our worldliness, the roga, the disease called worldliness, which is anadi, which is continuing forever, right from the beginning of creation. So, this disease called worldliness, only vichara is the great medicine for that. So we do the vichara to treat this worldliness which is infused in our mind by the introspection, that infusional introspection. We treat the worldliness which has entered into our mind and intelligence, our being. When that is removed, the truth shines. That is why they have said, Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha tatastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanaha. Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha. That sattva means our being. When the being becomes absolutely purified by the prasada of knowledge, jnana prasada, the placidity coming from knowledge, then what happens? Tatastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanaha. Then he sees the truth, his real identity, which is nishkalam, which does not have any part at all. Dhyayamanaha, that in a meditative form, in meditation, he perceives this partless truth. Now in meditation, what kind of meditation, all those things I will come in detail later. Now let us understand what is this jnana prasada they are talking about. See, on one hand they said that tapasa, it cannot be had, but it can be had by jnana prasada. Now this is there in Kathopanishad also. There is a shloka, similar shloka, where it says, it is Kathopanishad 2.3.9. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam hrida manisha manasa viklipto ya etad viduramritaste bhavanti. There he says, na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya. It is same that this truth, it cannot be seen in anything perceptible to the sense organs, because it does not have any. Na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam. It cannot be seen with the eyes or any of the sense organs, because it does not have the objective qualities which makes the objects perceptible to our indriyas. Then how can it be seen? Hrida manisha manasa avikliptaha ya etad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. Now this word avikliptaha is very important. Avikliptaha means it's a process of purification, refinement, maturation, integration, all these together. And here they have mentioned about three aspects of our being, or three parts of our being. Hrit, generally we refer to our emotional part of our being. Hridaya, we say Hridaya. So Hrida, that means by the purification, refinement, maturation, integration of the emotional part of our being. Then Manisha. Manisha has come from Manit. Manit means Buddhi, the fundamental element in us from where the intelligence is arising. So Manisha means it is purification, maturation, refinement of the Buddhi, and Manasa, the mind, which is always thinking. That mind also has to undergo corresponding purification, integration, maturation. Basically, on one hand, they have to be freed of all raga dvesha. On the other hand, they have to be freed of all the limited, fragmented notions which are ingrained in our mind, heart and intelligence. Everywhere the limitation, constrictions, smallness, everything is ingrained there. So we have to treat that. So it is a process of refinement, maturation, integration of these parts of the being, by which what happens? Ya etad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. It is actually ye etad viduhu, plural, but because it is followed by a, it has become ya, the ekara has gone. Ya etad viduhu, those who know by this process, it is mentioned. Here in this present shloka, with what we are doing, jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha, there is no difference in that. Here it is said, jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha, when the being becomes purified out of the placidity of knowledge. And here it is Hrida, Manisha, Manasa, Abhikliptaha. That happens through the Jnana Prasada only. This Hrida, Manisha, Manasa, all these three aspects of the being, by the maturation of the three aspects of our being, ye etad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. One who comes to know this, he becomes immortal. In Shvetashvatara there are many shlokas beautifully expressing this. In one, Esha Devo Vishwakarma Mahatma Sada Jananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha. Esha Devo Vishwakarma Mahatma Sada Jananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha. Hrida Manisha Manasa Bhiklipto Yaitad Vidurabritaste Bhavanti. Yaitad Vidu Amritaste Bhavanti. Yaitad Viduhu Amritaste Bhavanti. He says that Esha Devo Vishwakarma Mahatma, that this brilliance, Devaha, this brilliance, this Purushaha, is Vishwakarma, because the whole universe is appearing in this consciousness. He is the creator of the universe, Mahatma. He is the great Atma, Paramatma or Mahatma, Atma of everything. He is the real entity in the entire multifariously shining universe, the only real entity there, the Atma of everything. But although it is the creator of the entire universe and the real entity in the entire universe, it is seated right there in our heart. Sada, always, Jananam, in the beings. Hridaye Sannivishtaha, it is in our heart. Sannivishtaha, Samyak Nivishtaha, it is very well seated. Actually, that is the only truth. And that we are always using also. Throughout the day, we cannot think also even without that I. But we think that I is limited by the body-mind personality that is associated with the body-mind personality. It is always getting affected, becoming grieving, becoming elated. That is our ignorance that we are thinking like that. When we remove these limitations, these constrictions, this ignorance, then we see this real Vishwakarma, Mahatma, I. Sada Jananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha. Now how do we see that? Hrida, Manisha, Manasa, Abhikliptaha, Ya etad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. By a process of refinement, purification, maturation, integration of all the aspects of our being, our emotional part, our mental part, our intelligential part, by a complete transformation of the being, one who comes to know this truth, he becomes immortal. This is the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So this is what is meant by Jnana Prasada. Jnana Prasadena Vishuddha Sattvaha. We should not confuse it with the Sattva Guna, Tamaguna and Rajoguna. They are calling it Vishuddha Sattvaha. Sattva means our being, when the being becomes purified. And if you want to understand from the point of view of the three gunas, then when the bondages created by all the three gunas are overcome. That is, we overcome the bondage created by the sattva guna also. Then we come to the Vishuddha Sattva. What is the sattva guna bondage? I have discussed earlier. It is Sukha Sangena Badnati, Jnana Sangena Bharata. It is, and it binds us by the clinging to Sukha and Jnana, clinging to joy and happiness. Now there also we have to see that when the sattva guna is binding us, the Sukha has to be Sattvika Sukha, the Jnana has to be Sattvika Jnana. What is the Sattvika Sukha? Bhagavad Gita has discussed that also. Yat tadagre vishamivam amrita, yat tadagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam tat sukham sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Initially it might be bitter, but later on it becomes nectarine. Tat sukham sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Which always, that sattvika sukha will not take us away from our real anchor, our real identity. Normally, whenever we are having some material sukha, we are completely deluded by the material sukha situation, elated by it. Then also we lose our central anchor. We come away from our real identity. We become slave to the world. There also the slavery is there. Slavery to the situation giving us the happiness. So there also we are losing our self-seatedness. But Sattvika Sukha is not like that. It is Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. In that Sukha, in Sattvika Sukha, we will feel more and more self-seated. Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. We will feel a placidity in that Sukha. Not Uchchalata we say. That means that Sattvika Sukha will never make us effervescent, where we lose our self-seatedness. We are taken away from that, as I am explaining with the centrifugal force. The other Sukha, Rajasika Sukha, will take us away from our anchor, but Sattvika Sukha will never. Now that also becomes a bondage finally. This Sattvika Sukha and Sattvika Jnana. What is Sattvika Jnana? There in Bhagavad Gita he said that Sarva Bhuteshu Yenaikam Bhavam Avyayam Ikshate Abhibhaktam Vibhakteshu Tad Jnanam Vidhi Sattvikam. Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam Avyayam Bhavam Ikshate. This all these beings everywhere in everything, one who finds the Avyayam Ekam Bhavam, the unchanging. Avyayam means unchanging, undecaying. Ekam, oneness. That is, always he is aware of the unity in diversity, the oneness in this multiple manifestation of the world. Sarva Bhuteshu Yenaikam Bhavam Avyayam Ikshate. This Ikshana, it is not a vision of the eyes. With the eyes you will always see the differences, difference in color, difference in forms. With the ears you will hear different sounds. Everywhere there is difference. There is infinite differences you will find. Perception will always be multiple. But through this intelligence, through the inner vision, Ikshana means a vision of the intelligence. He always, that oneness shines in his intelligence. That Sattvika Jnana will always give us that oneness, that comprehensive truth in everything. In a lower level, suppose when we go to the spiritual level, we are talking about the oneness. But when we are in the behavioral level, the Sattvika Guna, Sattvika Jnana we talk about, a Sattvika person will be able to see the comprehensive truth. Our vision is generally limited by our raga, dvesha, etc. Suppose somebody has come a little late one day. Immediately my work is affected. So I get very annoyed and immediately start scolding without even looking at his face. What has happened to him? Why he is late? We don't consider even that. Now because I have lost something, my mind is bogged down by my loss, and so I am getting agitated by seeing him coming late. But suppose if you had looked at him without that clinging to my loss and my gain, etc., maybe that day somebody very dear to him has died. And that he has come is something great. He might not have come also. Before we give him an opportunity to explain what has happened to him, we suddenly start scolding him. Now, a Sattvika vision will make us give us a comprehensive vision of the other side also. Oh, acha, we will be aware of the face, that why is he looking like that? Let me first ask. We will ask him what is the reason that he has come late, and then we will deal with it. Like that in every situation, all situation, they will be able to see much more than the Rajasika, Tamasika people. They will be able to see the underlying oneness in everything. The comprehensive vision will be there always. So, these are the Sattvika Sukha and Sattvika Jnana, both are very good for a person who grows more and more of Sattva Guna. His life will undergo a great change because his life will become a Sattvika life. But there also these two will bind him until he is able to get beyond this bondage. He will not be able to attain this Vishuddha Sattvaha. Vishuddha Sattvaha means there the Sattvika Guna bondage also will not be there, where he will be able to take anything that comes. Suppose something is good, something is bad, he will not get affected by anything at all. That is the Vishuddha Sattvaha state. In Viveka Chudamani it is discussed as Vishuddha Sattvasya Guna Prasadaha Swatmanubhutihi Parama Prashanti Triptihi Praharshaha Paramatma Nishtha Yaya Sadanandarasam Samrichhati. So it is a pure state of being where the truth is, one becomes aware of the truth. Now what happens by this? He says, Tatastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanaha. He sees the truth. Nishkalam means which does not have any form, any part at all. Dhyayamanaha. Now we have to go further into it. One part of it is the purity out of whatever the constrictions we have regarding ragadvesha, etc. That has to go on throughout the day in all our interactions also. We have to undergo that purificatory process by which our mind, emotion, intelligence, everything undergoes a constant cleansing process. That will be there. But there is something deeper in it, in the knowledge aspect, that here we are dealing with the truth of our soul, of our Atma, which does not have any object characteristics at all, any object parameters it cannot be known by. It doesn't have any objective parameters. But right from birth, we have been dealing with the objects. So our mind has got completely saturated with all the objective parameters and all. So how to get the mind freed of that? Even when we are thinking of Atma, that it does not get affected, it does not have any limit, it does not have any change, all those things also when we are considering, finally we will have some sort of a concept of Atma in our mind. Now this truth is beyond all concepts. So that concept also, although it has helped me to come away from the other wrong concepts, but such a concept also will be limiting my mind, how to get rid of that concept and get to the actual truth. That becomes the sadhana. See, generally by nature we suffer from smallness. Various kinds of smallness, limitations, constrictions, etc. So initially the sadhana will be to expand the mind, take it beyond all those constrictions, limitations, etc. After we have taken the mind to such vastness, infinitude and all, finally we have to understand that this Atma or the truth or the consciousness, from this infinitude has come, and the smallest, the minutest particles are also supported by the same thing. So it is not just great and infinite, it is smaller than the smallest also, as the Upanishads say repeatedly, Anuraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. But because our mind is mostly given to smallness, limitation, constriction, initially we have to have a sadhana which will infuse expansion in us. So, suppose shloka like it is from Viveka Chudamani, Akashaval Lepa Vidura Goham. If we go on chanting that, the shloka is Akashaval Lepa Vidura Goham Adityavad Bhasya Vilakshanoham Aharyavanitya Vinishchaloham Ambodhivat Para Vivarjitoham Akashavallepa Viduragoham Adityavad Bhasya Vilakshanoham Aharyavan Nitya Vinishchaloham Ambodhivat Para Vivarjitoham. See, it says Akashaval Lepa Vidura Goham. Like the space, taintless am I. Lepa means taint. Like the space, taintless am I. Anything happening in the air also, atmosphere, pollution of the atmosphere, it doesn't touch the space at all. The space remains Lepa Vidura, that it remains freed of all taints. Akashaval Lepa Vidura Goham Adityavad Bhasya Vilakshanoham. Like the sun, I am self-effulgent. Bhasya Vilakshano means it does not need other light to show it or illuminate it. Like that, the Atma in me, it does not have to be shown by anything else. Often people ask that, well, when the self is revealed, who is revealing the self? This is the problem we have. We think that something has to reveal the self. Actually, the self is revealing everything. Even the sun is revealed by the self. If anything else reveals the self, then this is not the self. The revealer of the self is the real self. So all these vicharas have to be there to point to us that where we are, our thinking is going wrong, our ideas are going wrong. That is how we have to perfect our conceptions more and more and more. So he says, Adityavad Bhasya Vilakshanoham. That means, like the sun, self-effulgent am I. What is the meaning of the self-effulgent? That means, I am always the revealer who is revealing everything. I am not the body-mind complex which is revealed by the vision, revealed by the other indriyas and revealed finally by my consciousness. I am not that. But throughout the day, normally we are associating ourselves with the body-mind complex. You think in your mind, even when you are not interacting also, in our mind that I-ness is associated with the body-mind complex, which has to be revealed by the mind, by the sense organs, by the consciousness finally. But when we say Adityavad Bhasya Vilakshanoham, naturally our mind immediately thinks of the self-effulgence of us, that it is not to be revealed by anything at all. That is what I am. The revealer in us is what I am. Aharyavan Nitya Vinishchaloham. Like the mountain, I am unshakable, unswerving. Because always we think that something happens, I am disturbed, I am going there, I am affected. That means always there is a shakeability in us, there are changes in us. Where is that unchangingness? We have to see that the real I, the revealer of everything, that is revealing all the changes. Thoughts are coming, thoughts are going, the changes are there in the mind. But the consciousness which reveals all these thoughts, all these changes, if that also had changed with them, then it would not have revealed the change at all. To reveal any change, the revealer has to remain unchanging, has to remain permanent behind. So the real I, the consciousness, which is revealing all the changes, it does not undergo any change at all. It is unswerving, undecaying. Aharyavan Nitya Vinishchaloham. Then Ambodhivat Para Vivarjitoham. Like the ocean, I am boundless. Well, we are saying like the ocean, but the ocean has got a boundary, we can see that limit and where the sky meets and all. Better would have been like the space also, we are unbounded. But even when we are seeing the space, space is an object, it is an objective concept. So I am revealing the space. Space is a concept in our mind, time is a concept in our mind.